Greetings and welcome to third lecture on unit number 2, fluid statics. So today's lecture we are going to discuss the second fundamental law associated with fluid statics. So basically there are two fundamental laws associated with fluid statics. That means when the fluid is at rest, to analyze that behavior of the fluid, generally two fundamental laws are used. That is hydrostatic law and Pascal's law. So today's lecture we are going to discuss this hydrostatic law. Hydrostatic law, it said that the pressure intensity at any point in a stationary fluid varies directly as the depth of the point below the free liquid surface. So for example, the pressure intensity increases with increasing the depth of that point from the free liquid surface. So this is a simple model of dam. You can realize the pressure at the free liquid surface is zero. And as the depth of this depth increases, then the pressure increases. So that is the interpretation of this statement. Or we can realize from this particular GIF also. So this is a bottle filled with water, and this is a level of water. And there are different holes are uh, pierced here on the water, and you can see the water is coming out from these different holes. And you can realize the pressure here is very low. So the speed of the jet is lowest here. So as the depth of this water increases, the speed increases. So obviously there is speed in, and the speed is maximum here because the pressure intensity at this particular point is highest amongst other holes. So this is a practical demonstration of the hydrostatic law. So which states that the pressure or intensity of pressure at any point varies directly as the depth of the point below the free liquid surface. Now this is the free liquid surface in the bottle. So it increases with increasing depth. As the pressure increases, so the jet velocity, because it is obviously depends on the pressure, higher the pressure, higher is the jet velocity. Because as per the law of conservation of energy, this pressure energy is converted into a kinetic energy. So higher the pressure energy, here more is the kinetic energy, more is the velocity of the jet. So this is practical interpretation of the hydrostatic law. Very important law, and based on this law, we have used earlier also in previous numerical also we have used how the weight of the liquid column is calculated. Even in the construction of manometer also, or the measurement of pressure using manometer, this particular hydrostatic law is used. Now, in order to prove this hydrostatic law, we consider a small fluid element of size dx, dy, dz. So this is the size, we can say this consider as a y direction. This consider along x direction is perpendicular to the board, and this is a z direction. So this is dx, this is dy, and this is dz. So vertical axis is z axis, horizontal axis we have considered as y, and this axis perpendicular to the board we are considering as x. Now this is a small fluid element of size dx, dy, dz at any point in a static mass of fluid. So this fluid element is present in at any particular static mass of fluid, a big mass of fluid. We are considering this small fluid element, and we have to prove that pressure, how the pressure varies with the depth. Since the fluid is at rest, this is the element is in equilibrium under the action of various forces acting on it, and the forces acting on the element are the basically a pressure forces, as we already discussed in the first lecture. So the prime property in fluid static is pressure. So the pressure forces on the faces and the self-weight, that is a gravity force. So these are the forces acting on the this particular small event. Now, in order to calculate these pressures or pressure forces, we consider initially there is a variation in all directions. That pressure varies in x direction also, pressure varies in y direction, pressure varies in z direction as well. So let P is the pressure intensity at midpoint of this element. So let us consider the midpoint of this element here, and the pressure intensity at this midpoint is P. Then the pressure intensity on the left hand side and right hand side that we can calculate. Now here we use the Taylor's expression to estimate the variation of any quantity along any direction. The Taylor series, or it says that that f of x plus h, any function, if its variation along a particular direction, suppose the h is the incremental change in that particular parameter. So f of x plus h, that is equal to f of x plus h into f dash of x plus h square. This is a first order derivative, and this is second order, this is third order. But for simplicity, we consider only the first order derivative. So this Taylor's expression we use many times in later on also. Here it's used to calculate the variation of pressure intensities along, this is suppose y direction, x direction, and z direction. Now one by one we'll see here. Let if the P is the pressure intensity at the midpoint, then the pressure intensity on the left face and on the right face. So first of all, we consider the pressure in the increasing pressure in positive y direction. So first we calculate the pressure intensity acting on this face, that is the right face. So that is P. P is nothing but our f of x. So P is analogous to f of x. So P plus h distance. So the distance of this particular face from the midpoint is dy by 2. So the dy by 2 is h. So f of x means P. So this is f of x plus h in this our case is dy by 2. So this h is dy by 2. And f dash of x is derivative of this P with respect to y direction, because this is y direction. So that is dabba P by dabba y. So this is a pressure intensity acting on right face, because in this direction, the pressure is increased by this much amount. Similarly, the pressure intensity on left-hand side, because in this direction, in the opposite direction, the pressure is decreased, or the pressure is decreasing. So here, instead of positive sign, the negative sign is only used. So this way, the pressure intensity on the left-hand face of the element is P minus dabba y by dabba 2 minus dabba P by dabba y. So f of x minus f dash of x into h. H in this particular case is dy, because in y direction, and its derivative in y direction. Similarly, along x direction, this is a positive x direction, and this is, we can say, positive y direction. So similarly, the component of pressure intensity on the front face, that this is f of x, because the this is our x side. So f of x plus f dash of x, in this case, the variation of pressure along x direction. So that is dabba p by dabba x, and the distance of the front face from the center is dx by 2, because this is dx and its half distance is dx by 2. So this is pressure intensity acting on front face. Acting on left face, only the sign is minus, because in this particular direction, the pressure decreases. So this is positive x direction, we can say, or the towards, so we are considering this is a positive x direction. So this direction pressure increases, this direction pressure increases, and as far as this is concerned, in upward direction, the pressure is increased. So positive in z direction, that is f of x plus f dash of x is, this distance is dz by 2, and its variation, that is f dash of x, is nothing but dabba p by dabba z, that is along z direction. So this is pressure intensity on top face, and the pressure increases in vertical direction. So the pressure intensity on bottom face is P, only the minus sign is there. So these are the pressure intensities we can calculate at every face and multiply by face areas. So for example, this area is dx dz. This area is, we can say, dx into dz again. So this area we have, that is dy into dx, and the area, another area that is considered as a front area, that is dz into dy, dz. So these are the face areas we can calculate. So these quantities are the pressure forces, and bracket quantities are the intensities of pressure. So in this particular case, what we have considered a small element, and this element is in a static mass of fluid, and the element is in equilibrium under the of various forces acting on it. And in order to calculate the uh, forces means there are only two forces, pressure forces and the weight of the fluid element. So the pressure forces, we can say, if P is the pressure intensity at the midpoint, the pressure forces on each faces are calculated by using the pressure intensities. Now here we have assumed the pressure varies in all directions. This is a positive y direction. This is positive x direction, and this is positive z direction. So in this direction, the pressure intensity varies, and the variation we have calculated according to the Taylor's expression. Just now we have explained. You can rewind this particular clip again to understand how the Taylor's expression is used to calculate the pressure intensities. That will be helpful for you if the derivation is asked, because no mugging is required. Only if you understand how the Taylor's expression is used here to calculate the variation or pressure intensities at each phase. So bracket quantity, once again, I'm telling you, bracket quantities are pressure intensities and multiply by area, that is the pressure force. Likewise, the pressure intensities and the corresponding pressure forces on other faces of the element may be obtained as shown in figure. So weight of the element is also calculated, that is W, that rho into, sorry, gamma into V, that is rho G, that is mass, rho into volume, that is mass, into G. Mg is the weight of the fluid element. So as dx, dy, dz is the volume, and rho is the density. So density into volume is mass. Mass into gravitational acceleration is the weight of the fluid. So that's it. If gamma is the specific weight of the fluid, then the weight of the fluid element acting vertically downward is rho g dx dy dz. So these are the forces acting on the fluid element. Now, since the element is in equilibrium under these forces, the algebraic sum of forces acting on it in any direction must be equal to 0. So that is according to the static equilibrium condition. All the forces we can equate it to 0 in a particular direction if the element is in equilibrium. Thus, considering the forces acting on element along x, y, and z directions, following equations are obtained. If we equate the forces acting along x direction, there are only two quantities of pressure forces acting along x direction. This is uh, positive x direction, this is negative x direction. So positive, we are considering this is a positive force, minus this is negative force, that is equal to 0. If we resolve this, we can say that is dabba p by dabba x is equal to 0, because p get cancelled. So this is minus dabba p by dabba x into dx dy dz. Again, dy is equal to 0. So dx dy dz is non-zero. So obviously dabba p by dabba x is equal to 0, because dx dy dz is the volume of the element, which is non-zero. So 0 is nothing but dabba p by dabba x. This is equation number 1. If we equate the forces along x direction, if equating the forces along y direction, so this is positive y direction. So this quantity is positive. This is pressure force on acting on left face minus pressure force acting on right face, that is equal to 0. So we can have dabba p by dabba y, that is equal to 0. And if we equate the pressure in or forces along z directions, so unlike other two cases, here there are three forces, two pressure forces and self weight of the fluid element as well. So here the pressure acting upward direction is positive. So this quantity is positive here. this particular quantity is pressure force is negative because it's acting downward, and the weight of the fluid element is also negative, that is equal to 0. Now in this case we cannot neglect this particular term because here the pressure intensity is eliminated in this case, as not that much eliminated in previous case, and we cannot neglect this particular case. So what we can, if you resolve this, because PP get cancelled, so dabba P by dabba Z into dx dy dz minus minus dabba P, and both are minus, so 1 and minus gamma into dx dy dz. So dx dy dz is again common, it get cancelled. So dabba P by dabba Z, that is equal to minus gamma. You can, if you resolve this, we can arrive this particular equation, that is dabba P by dabba Z is equal to minus gamma. So this way we have resolved all the forces in every direction, x direction, y direction, and z direction. So from equation 1, 2, and 3, what it indicates, the pressure intensity P at any point in a static mass of fluid doesn't vary in x direction, because variation of pressure along x direction is 0. It doesn't vary along y direction, because the variation along y direction also it is 0. But it varies along z direction. So the z direction is obviously the depth, and it's negative direction. So dabba P by dabba Z is equal to minus gamma. Hence the partial derivative, because here there is no variation along x and y direction pressure. Pressure only varies along z direction. So partial derivative may be reduced to the total or exact derivative. So you can realize how the mathematics can be used in fluid mechanics. So already we came across the use of derivation, use of integration. Now here we have used Taylor's expression. And here how we can write, or we can reduce partial differentiation. Partial differentiation, if the variation in multiple directions, means there is partially it varies along x, partially it varies along y, and partially it varies along z. But in this particular situation, there is no variation along x and y direction. There is only variation along z direction. So the total variation is only along z direction. So the partial variation or partial derivative can be converted into a exact or total derivative, that is dp by dz, that is equal to minus gamma, which state that the pressure varies along z direction with a magnitude of minus specific weight. Now we have to resolve this. So if we integrate this, P is equal to minus gamma Z plus C. Now we have to calculate this C quantity. So for that, we consider P is the pressure intensity at any point, which is at a distance h from the free liquid surface. So the total depth is, we consider the height of the liquid from the datum is capital H. In which P is the pressure intensity at any point at an elevation small h in a static mass of liquid. C is the constant here, and Z is the elevation. That it's a generalized term. In our case, Z is nothing but in this case is h, is constant of integration. The liquid have a free liquid surface at which the pressure of atmosphere is acting. So at the free liquid surface, pressure, atmospheric pressure is acting. Now substituting the limit when P is equal to PA. So supposing P is equal to PA, then the pressure is at the atmosphere. So if we consider the datum line, so Z is measured from the datum line. So this is Z along Z direction. So Z is a positive direction, is upward. So if the pressure, we have a boundary condition. In order to calculate C, we require boundary condition. And we have a known boundary condition, that is at the free liquid surface. So that means if the pressure at the free liquid surface is atmosphere, that is PA, PA is the atmospheric pressure, then the elevation of this particular free liquid surface from the datum surface, that is Z is equal to H. Then we can calculate C. So obviously, if we put this limit, instead of P is PA, and instead of Z, we can put capital H. We get C is equal to PA plus gamma H. So if we substitute this H, the equation 4 becomes, so P minus gamma Z plus PA. So instead of C, we can put this term PA plus gamma H. Now in this particular case, H is nothing but, or Z is nothing but, if the point is at H, if the point is lying in the liquid mass at a vertical depth H, so H is depth. So the vertical depth is H, which is below the free liquid surface. Then Z is not H. Z in this particular case is, this is Z, because P is the point which is at a depth H from the free liquid surface. So the Z from the datum line is this, so which is capital H minus small h. So if we put Z is equal to capital H minus small h, the equation becomes, so here we can put, and if we simplify this equation, the equation is P is equal to PA plus gamma H. So this is actually statement of hydrostatic law. So from equation 6, that if we see that P is equal to PA plus gamma H. So obviously this P is the absolute pressure. If we add the atmospheric pressure plus gamma H. So gamma H value, it always gives the gauge value, because generally at the gauge, the P is equal to 0, we can consider. So if we are using gamma H for calculating the pressure, it is not called as absolute pressure. Very important finding, you can see. So you have to memorize this, because gamma H value, or we can say instead of gamma, it's rho GH. So P is equal to rho GH is the statement of hydrostatic law. So you have to memorize that. So it is evident that evident from equation 6 that the pressure at any point in a static mass of liquid depends only on the vertical depth of the point below the free liquid surface. So H is the vertical depth of that particular point below the free liquid surface and the specific weight of the liquid. And it doesn't depend on the shape and size of the bonding container. So pressure or intensity of pressure, it doesn't depend on the size of the container, that you can see here. So there are different sizes, but everywhere the depth from this particular point is same. So here the pressure is measured. So the depth of this point from the free liquid surface, so H in every case is same. Irrespective of its sizes are varying, but the pressure intensity you can see on the recorded here, the pressure intensity is same. This is called as Pascal's paradox, where the pressure or intensity of pressure doesn't depend on the size and shape of the container. So whatever may be the size, whether it is large or small, and whatever may be its shape, it doesn't depend on size and shape. It only depends on the specific weight of the fluid as well as the height or depth of that particular point. So the pressure is measured at this particular point. So on the depth of that point from the free liquid surface. So in all cases, the depth is same. So H value is same, and everywhere the fluid is same, then the pressure intensity is also same. If the fluids are different, then pressure may vary, even the depth, because it only depends on the specific weight of the fluid as well as the depth of that particular point below the free liquid surface. So this particular phenomenon is called as Pascal's paradox. So that is, it doesn't depend upon the shape and size of the bonding container. So this is hydrostatic law, very important law, can be used always whenever you come across the fluid is at rest. Especially while manometer cases, this particular height of the liquid column is especially used for measuring the pressure. So pressure. So this particular H is later on it is called as a static head, or it is also called as a pressure head. So while writing the unit of this H, it is not only meter height, it is a meter of some liquid column. So suppose if this is water, if this H is not called is in only meter, it is meter of H2O. If this is filled with mercury, it is meter of Hg. If filled with some other fluid, it is meter of that particular fluid. So that is important interpretation of this H. The unit of H is not meter only. This is a meter of some fluid, that is a more specific unit, even though it is a height, but this is not height, this is head, or this is later on it is called as a pressure head. So most of the oral questions they can ask in rho gh what is H and what is the unit of H. So you must say that unit of H is meter of some fluid. Whatever the fluid is means atmospheric pressure is measured in meter of mm of Hg, or meter of water it is 10.32 meter of water. So this way the unit is elaborated. So that's it from this particular lecture. You must learn what is the statement of the hydrostatic law and how we can prove hydrostatic law. Means there is no pressure variation along x and y direction. The pressure only varies along z direction. That is hydrostatic law. The pressure or intensity of pressure varies with the depth of that particular point below the free liquid surface. So that is a hydrostatic law. This is statement of hydrostatic law. Equation you have to memorize. So P is equal to rho GH. Very important equation you have used many times and you will use in future also. So rho GH is the state expression of hydrostatic law. With this, we have completed this session. Thank you very much.